Hi again, everybody. This video tutorial is going to go over the steps for editing a news package, the basic workflow for cutting together a package working on a tight deadline. A couple of things to talk about first. I'll go ahead and pop up Premiere, but let me just go through a couple of things obviously you're going to do before you get into the timeline. Well, first you're going to go shoot great video, lots of B-roll with nat sound. You're going to conduct some really good interviews, get some really good sound bites from your sources. And then you're going to bring all that over to your hard drive, capture everything onto the drive, and then you get into Premiere. Remember, you have to stay highly organized. So organize your bins and get your clips in the right bins and get everything set up in the workspace so that when it is time to actually edit to the timeline, everything is already organized. All the ingredients are in their proper place, and then you can quickly cut them into the timeline. So after you've got everything organized, you got to look through the B-roll, pick out the best B-roll shots, the best B-roll sequences, and also look carefully at the sound bites. Listen to them. Find the ones with the most compelling, comments from your sources. And you can pre-mark those with ins and outs and leave yourself little notes and kind of pre-organize all of that. Then it's time to write the script. You're writing into those sound bites, and you're also writing to your video. So you're writing sentences that relate to the shots that you actually have. If you talk about something and don't have video of it, well, that doesn't work in the package. So write a good script based on a review of your video and the quality of your shots. Then you go record the voice track. Easy enough, right? A nice, clean recording of your own track, crisp and conversational delivery. Then it's time to actually get into the editing. Once all the ingredients are all prepped, you're ready to cook. Editing is a lot like cooking. You get the ingredients all parsed out, prepped, chopped, organized in their proper place, then you start cooking. So here's what we'll do with the edit. We'll first start with going into the primary audio. We want to construct kind of from the bottom up. Sometimes this is called a radio edit, where you construct the main audio elements of the story first, and then you go back in and fill in video and adjust some of the other settings. The first thing we need to do, if we're going to edit a package, we need to look at the script. Obviously, you would have just written yours. The sample package I'm going to use is just a little short, very simple story. Relates to just an exhibit at the SeaWorld park. So I've got that sample project for you, and I'm going to go dig it out of my folder. It's in my February, and SeaWorld is right there. And you notice with the folder system, there's a Documents folder, and in there I've put the script for this SeaWorld package. So my first step is to open the script and see exactly what the script calls for. And again, it's written to the video. So it opens after the anchor's lead, goes right into a little bit of nat sound, 2 seconds. It says splashing and cheering crowd, and it's from the clip called Performance Two Whales Jump. So I want to cut that into my timeline first. Then I'm going to go start laying in the reporter's voice track, because that's the next piece of primary audio. I'll put in the reporter's track up until about this point, where she stops talking, and then it's time for the first sound bite. And I'll cut the SOT into the timeline. Then we'll go back to the report, or there's a second SOT, back to the voiceover of the reporter, back to another SOT, more voiceover, and then there's her out cue. After I get all that primary audio laid in, I'll go back and fill in the B-roll to match. So when she's talking about the trainers on stage, I'm going to cut to a shot of those trainers and the whales. So that's what I need to do. Let's put that aside for a second, and let's go find Performance Two Whales Jump. It's right there in my B-roll bin. I'm going to open that up in another tab. And Performance Two Whales Jump. Let's open it up here. And I just need, notice there's an audience. They're going to cheer in a moment. So there we go. Right before the whales come out of the water, let's mark in. Boom, right there. We'll let it play out. Good. And just before the camera starts to pull out, we'll mark it out. Again, it's just 3-point editing here. Before I even get this in the timeline, notice I haven't created a sequence yet. If we go back to our project, there's already a sequence bin. So let's open that up, Sequences. And when I do New Item or Command N for a new sequence, we're going to pick out our Grady News Source custom sequence right there in the custom folder. We're going to call it SeaWorld. Boom. And it's ready. So now I'm ready to cut this footage right into the head of the timeline. Simple 3-point edit. There's our first shot. Let's plus in so we can see that. Performance Two Whales Jump. Nat sounds a little hot. We'll adjust that later. Let's at least first get the basic building blocks in the timeline. The other thing I want to look at is, by default, my Nat sound went into the A1 track because I just did this edit right away. So let's designate that for Nat sound. Remember, we'll keep all of our Nats there. Let's put the reporter's voice in 2, and let's put the sound bites in 3, right? We want to use separate lanes of traffic for Nats, voiceover, and sound bites, kind of like we saw in that ukulele story that we'd been looking at. All right, so fair enough, we've got that. And right after the splash, the reporter's going to start talking. So I'm going to leave my playhead there for my in point. I'm going to go right back to the VO, and here's the reporter. Open up her voiceover track. And she'll say, yes, it's another opening. All right, so let's go back to yes and mark in. Okay, mark in.
Yes, it's another opening, another show. But not just any show.
I'll play forward by hitting the L key a couple of times because I know what she's going to say. It's the same thing that I saw in my script, right? She's going to say, yes, it's another opening, another show, but not just any show, blah, blah, blah. And then the last thing she says is killer whale trainers, and that's where we'll stop. That's going to be our out point, all right? So after she says...
more than an 8x10 glossy to get the director's nod for this project. This is Believe, the new killer whale show at SeaWorld, where the onstage talent consists of an assortment of killer whales and
killer whale trainers, there it is.
Killer whale trainers.
Boom, there's my out point. Now, I just patch A1 to A2 now. Let's make my tracks a little bit bigger so you can all see what's going on. A1, which is the source, is going to go to A2 in the destination or in the timeline. Remember source, destination. I've patched it here. So now her voice is going to start here, and we'll play that voice, or we'll lay it in right there. Simple overwrite. Let's back up a little bit with the... There we are. So now we have opening shot.
Yes, it's another opening.
And remember, we'll go back in and keyframe this later. We saw how to do that in the lab last week. I'll keyframe that volume down, and then later we'll put in the B-roll and the other Nat sound to go with this.
Show, but not just any show.
Okay, so far so good. You may have noticed
and it would take a lot more
that her audio is only in the left channel. So this is one of those ones we're going to have to remap the channels so that we get it equal left-right. Again, that can be done in the timeline later. Or I could have done it to her voice clip right up here. Remember, I can go in and modify the channels right there and make it go left, left. Or in this case, they're designated as channel 1, channel 2. The way they recorded this, that's what their software did. But anyway, same principle applies. I could fix it, pay now, or I could have paid, or I can pay later, which maybe I'll do. All right. So again, you just follow the script, and it says there's behavior in the show. That's the first part of the soundbite, and it's from the SOT called SA favorite behavior. By the way, SA are the people's initials that you see in the sound bites. It's a good way of organizing bites. You put their first and last initial and then a keyword about what the SOT refers to. It's a good way to prep your SOTs before you start editing. So we go back to our SOTs, and we're looking for favorite behavior. There he is, and let's listen to what he says.
Yeah, for sure. There's behavior in the show where we turn off...
There he is. He's got an in there, so I want to cut that out. Boom.
That's just plain fun.
Great. That's just plain fun. That's the ending. Now I got to do a little bit more patching because I want the sound bites to go to A3. Do you see what we did here? We took his source audio from the source clip, and we say, all right, video, yeah, go to the V1 track, but audio, go to the A3 track. So now his sound bite will be here in A3, the audio. The video of him talking will be up here in A1, and there we are. So here's what we have so far. Okay, and so that goes on, right? So now it's time to go to the next piece, and the script will tell us what to do. So again, we just go back to the script, and after he says that, it goes into another sound bite. We're cutting to another kind of back-to-back SOT. So we have the whale trainer first, then we're going to a SeaWorld official, DS, show concept. And this is tricky because it's two parts of a long interview clip where we're using one sentence and then we're cutting it into another. So I need to find where he says, these whales are amazing. So we're going back into show concept. He actually says it later in the SOT.
The idea of Believe was actually born from the whale itself.
These whales are amazing animals. So we're going to have that part first. So you can always rearrange sound bites. You can take a piece of a sentence they said later on, put it in the package first, and then cut to an earlier sentence just so there's information and it makes sense for the audience. And we're already patched properly for sound bites, right? Video to video and we've got the audio going down to A3. Make that bigger. Good. So he'll just follow right after this guy. So it's just a simple overwrite, and there we go. Now we'll go to his, the earlier part of the clip is where he says the other thing that the script is telling us to put in. The script says now put in where he says from the behaviors. Notice we're going to have a jump cut here, right? We're going to have the same guy, same frame, same interview, but the video instructions over here tell us to cover this jump cut with B-roll. So we do have instructions, and we'll cut in some shots of some of the stunts that he's talking about from the show. So we'll cover up that jump cut later. But let's first, remember, we want to get the sound in there first so we can see how the package flows, we can hear it. We also get a sense of our time. We'll get a total running time once we have all of the audio laid from head to tail. So let's go back and get that earlier part.
The idea of believe was actually born from the whale itself, from the behavior.
From the behaviors.
From the
That's it. Mark in.
From the behaviors that are in the show, and even the music that was composed for the show, it all came from the animal itself.
Boom. End, and then we're going to butt that right up. The playhead's already there for our in point, overwrite. And now we have that awkward jump cut where he jumps in the frame.
Whole concept of this particular show. From the behaviors that are in the show.
But we'll cover that up with some nice B-roll. Okay, next point. Where are we now? The package says, the script says we got through that. Okay, back to the VO where she says the production team is a cross between Broadway Extravaganza. So back to the voice. Here she is. That's where we left off, right?
The production team.
Okay, good. That's the next bit. It's all in one take. Luckily, this narrator cut this pretty cleanly.
The production team, however, is
I just marked
a cross
in.
between Broadway Extravaganza and Hollywood Blockbuster. Along with set designers, technicians, composer, producers, and directors, the killer whales and trainers worked tirelessly to bring the show to life.
And is that the end of it? Let's double check the script. Bring the show to life. So we're going back into another SOT. So yeah, that's that little chunk of audio. We'll put that in. Remember, we got a patch back A1 to A2. We're there. We don't need any video, so we're just going to take her audio. It's going to cut right down starting here. Let's overwrite, and there we go. And that's how we would continue on with the rest of the package. I won't finish it for you, but in just the last few minutes, I've already got most of my audio laid.
Yes, it's another opening, another show. But not just any show, and it would take a lot more than an 8x10 glossy to get the director's
Got my
cut.
reporter's voice in there.
The new killer whale show at sea.
I've got the first couple of sound bites.
Killer whales and killer whale trainers.
There's behavior in the show.
Got the sound bites in there. Got more of her. I'll put in the last couple of sound bites, whatever the script calls for. This way I can just edit really fast. I just look at the script. The story's already been shaped by the script and by the review of the footage, and now I just put the pieces into the timeline according to that really solid script. A little bit more voice and her sig out, and then these open gaps where we don't see anything, I'll go put B-roll shots that relate to whatever she's talking about. So in this part, the trainer is describing a particular thing they do in the show. So after he starts talking, right as his hand gesture moves, we'll start cutting in B-roll of that stunt or that event. Yeah, it says cover the last 2/3 of this SOT with these two clips. Cut back to the trainer for the last line. So good, I'll know exactly what to do there. That's the basic workflow. Again, we're cutting in the primary audio, and then we're going to fill in the B-roll slots. And then finally, I'll do a mix on the audio, right? I'll make adjustments. I'll keyframe where needed. I'll fix the channels if I have to, if I haven't already done it. If I have to adjust the gain or normalize anything, I can do all that as one last adjustment. And then lastly, I'd put some titles in there to do lower thirds over each of these sound bites. And I'm ready to export. So pay close attention to that as you do your packages. Really start from the audio first, and your packages will be able to edit them much quicker, much more precisely.